Okay, so we've looked so far at creating the terrain and setting up the lighting. So now we need to look at getting a skybox in here, and more specifically, how to make sure that this directional light isn't now blocked by having a giant sphere around it, because that's generally what a skybox is. So first of all, we're going to create a giant sphere. Going to make it larger, like so. And as you can see, as soon as I've done that, we've lost all our shadows that we had before from here, because now, even though this directional light is inside the sphere, it's still not able to cast through it, because it doesn't matter where this is positioned, it's just basically a global lighting. So we've got to actually change the settings for this sphere here. So when we click on it and we have a attribute section here, what we can do is go over here to the P sphere, shape 1, and then go down here to render stats. We expand that out and we click on cast shadows to switch it off. And we're also going to say no to receive shadows, because we don't want the mountain to cast a shadow on the sky, just the same way we don't want the sky to cast a shadow on the mountain. So as we can see, we've got our shadows back here. But this sort of sphere is still a little bit weird in the way that it's sort of shaded, because it's still sort of receiving some light information. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click and hold and assign a new material. Now we'll look a little bit later when we start putting materials onto this terrain how to do this, but just for now I'm just going to go assign new material and go lambert. So a lambert is just doesn't have any kind of shininess to it, which is good because we don't want our sky to be shiny. It just allows us to put in basic things like color, transparency, and incandescent. Now we could put something on the color, but as you can see, it's still getting shaded and gradient shading from the overall lighting in this environment. So I'm actually going to put it on the incandescence. Incandescence is kind of like the light. So I'm going to push that all the way up so that we've got a sort of bright sky in the light here. And then I'm going to click on that swatch there to bring up the color swatch. And then I'm just going to change the color to match up with the sort of mood that I'm going for. So I'm going for an afternoon dusk sort of sky. So I'm going to go for a more orange sort of sky. You could go more dramatic for that if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I just kind of want that sort of subtle warmth to it and everything. And that's it. And that's pretty much how you put in a skybox. So as you can see, now as I rotate around, there's no sort of weird gradient going on with the sky. There's a little bit, but not much. And it just means now that the sky will sort of help illuminate this scene. Now, the only other thing I'm going to look at is the fact that this can be sometimes a bit annoying when you're trying to model your landscape and this skybox gets in the way. So we can fix that by going up here to shading and go backface culling. And what that will do eventually is allow us so that when we're on the outside here, we'll be able to see it. Now we can't see it at the moment because there's one other thing that's here about this skybox, and that's that when we ever create like a sphere, like I'll just do here, all the faces are on the outside, because that's exactly what you want. But we want this differently. We want these faces to be facing the other way. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to click on this skybox here, go up to mesh display and go reverse. And that's going to reverse it so that the faces, when we put a texture on it, are all on the inside. So now when I reverse out, I can now see through this sphere and still see my landscape. So that's just going to help me a lot when I'm modeling this and everything, because I'm not going to have to constantly be like, oh, this is in the way. I can just look through it just there, okay? So yeah, that's all I really wanted to go through. And again, just to stress, this is all about creating sets. It's not about creating a actual real landscape that we're going to be walking across at any point in time. It's just about creating those sets so that we can get the angles that we want. And then just adjusting things like the fog here to make sure that we sort of hide that horizon line as much as possible. But yeah, that's all we really wanted to look at here, is just getting that all set up. And now what we might start looking at is how to apply textures to it. So we've got flat colors here at the moment, but how might we put, like, say, a rock texture, or put a river in here as well. But we'll have a look at that in just a minute. For now, I just want you to try and get this skybox in there. And yeah, we'll just settle for that for now. Excellent.